Hey guys, I hope you're doing well. I just wanted to say congratulations for reaching the end of week two of 5, 3 weeks to go. It's going to get a little bit more challenging as we go. You know, when we start a challenge like this, our spirits are high, our levels of motivation are high, and it's a little bit easier to sustain and maintain the tasks that we've set out to do. It does get more challenging. So I would say that now at the end of week 2, moving into our 3rd week, we're going to start facing some challenges and some decisions, and we need to just make sure that we stay strong and remember why we started, and let's stick to our guns. The resource that I want to chat to you guys about today, another practical one, hopefully it adds some value. Now, I spoke in the presentation at the beginning of the challenge as to why the scale isn't always the best form of managing or tracking our weight. It can be a tool utilized for sure, but it shouldn't be the primary tool used. That's why we take our weekly progress picture each week as well. Who cares how heavy we are really, unless you're participating in a sport where weight counts, unless you're using it as a tool. But use it as a tool and understand that your result on the scale or the weight that you see on the scale isn't a determination of your progress. So if by now, let's say 2 weeks, you standing on the scale, you haven't lost any weight, don't become despondent. There could be a number of reasons and factors at play in and around that as to why you might not have lost weight. Obviously, you might have picked up a little bit of muscle, you might have dropped some body fat, so hopefully you'll start to see a difference in your body composition, even though the scale won't reflect that. Okay, but the first thing is physical weight of food and drink. This is why your weight could fluctuate. Obviously, simple science. If you drink and eat, you're going to be a little bit heavier. Not by much, but you are going to be a little bit heavier. Accumulating, food intake throughout the day, you're going to be heavier than what you were before. So don't get obsessed with weighing yourself constantly, because that physical weight of food and drink is going to portray or distort the number on the scale, and it's going to make you despondent. The next one, and this is a big one, this is the influence that carbohydrates and sodium has on your weight. So we've all experienced this. You go on a holiday and you come back from the holiday and you're like 4 kilos heavier and you're incredibly despondent. I can't believe I put on this much weight. Even after a weekend of letting a little bit loose and eating too much and drinking too much, we tend to have a higher weight. Don't be alarmed, you haven't put on 4 kilos of fat. This is basically consuming too much carbohydrate and too much sodium leads to water or excess water retention. Your body then retains more water, and therefore you're going to be a little bit heavier on the scale, but you have not picked up body fat. Obviously, sweat. This is now why the scale, if you one of those people that might wonder as to why you're losing weight, after you've sweated and done a high intensity workout, sometimes that could lead to a fluctuation in weight as well. Days of the week, that's another point. Some people weigh every single day, and this is something that you should not do. Again, going back to the carbohydrates and sodium, research has actually shown that from a Saturday to a Tuesday, you tend to be a little bit heavier than you do on a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, because what happens is we're a little bit inconsistent. We start the week well on a Monday, we eat well, so then we lose that water retention and we're consistent in what we're eating and how we're eating, and then we go into the weekend and we fall off the bus a little bit. Again, this is kind of natural. We need to aim to try and be consistent, but don't let that be the determining factor, and every Monday you get depressed because you weighed yourself and you're all of a sudden 2 kilos heavier. 2 more, guys. The next one is hormones. Obviously, there's a hormone called cortisol. It's a stress hormone. Basically, after high intense workouts or even just going through a lot of mental stress, that also has an influence on water retention, and it fluctuates or assists and aids in fluctuating your weight. Ladies as well, obviously going through their menstrual cycle, they basically have see a fluctuation in weight due to habits associated around that period, but also just to what's happening within the body. All of these points is basically just to give you some insight. It's not to say that we can prevent this from happening or changing. We could make efforts towards it, but the focus is just understanding and knowing. The last one is our bowel movements. Obviously, nice and simple. I'm not going to get into detail with that one. It's self-explanatory. But as I mentioned, this is not to say let's avoid doing these things. Yes, we can be more consistent on certain things and not overdo it on weekends and let the weight fluctuate in that way, because you haven't picked up body fat but done a lot of accumulatively over weeks and months. That's essentially how we do pick up body fat, by misbehaving and letting our diet fall out the window on the weekend. So this is just a tool for you to understand. That's it. Hopefully now when you step on the scale, Don't get despondent. You didn't pick up 2 kilos of body fat. There's reasons why the scale shows that you're slightly heavier. I don't think you should use the scale as a measure. If you want to hop on the scale, do that, but at least you have the knowledge and tools now to understand as to why the weight is fluctuating, and it's not because you've picked up body fat. Okay guys, then our week 3 challenge. Hopefully, I saw guys doing their lunges in the classes. Hopefully you got your lunges in. As I said, these challenges are going to get progressively harder, progressively more difficult. So, moving into week 3 now, we want to stay on course. We are going to now have a challenge where we are going to do 3,500 skips. 3,500 skips within the week. That equates to 500 skips per day. You can do 1,000 one day and then skip the next day. You can finish all 3,500 in 3 days, but that's our target. If you don't have a skipping rope, you're welcome to come do the skips at the gym. If you don't have a skipping rope and you don't have access to the gym, you are welcome to do toe taps as well. Toe taps where we're standing up and you basically just simulate skipping. You're going to tap your toes to an object. I'll link a video as a description just to show you if you're unsure of that. When you do your toe taps, the only difference is left and right is going to count as 1. Left and right is going to count as 2. So do yourself a favor. If you do need to borrow a skipping rope from the gym just for this week, you're also welcome to do that. I would prefer you to do skipping if you can't skip coordination wise. Also, I'll show you, you can just hold the skipping rope in one hand just so that you can get the movements done. There's some testimonials of people who have lost so much weight just simply by doing something as simple as 1,000 skips or 2,000 skips per day, doing that consistently with the amount of calories you burn. The skips will count towards your 35 minutes of movement as well. So you can count that over and above or in and with the movement that you need to complete. But that's our challenge for the week, guys. 3,500 skips. Guys, I hope you have a great week. Well done for completing week 2. Remember, we're not there yet. Let's make sure we stay consistent. Remember why we're doing the challenge. Trust me, don't fall off the bus. You're going to feel a lot better about yourself if you make sure that we stay strong, we maintain, and we see it through. Okay, guys, have a great week.